The Lexus NX has always been stylish, but the 2026 NX 350 comes with upgrades you might not expect: smarter tech, refined design, and a surprisingly bold move against its biggest rivals. Lexus claims it's the most driver-focused NX yet, but here's the catch. Can it really hold its own against heavy hitters like the BMW X3 and Audi Q5? Some changes feel subtle. Others could completely shift how buyers see this luxury SUV. So, are these updates just cosmetic tweaks, or has Lexus finally cracked the formula? Let's find out. The Lexus NX has been one of the brand's most important models in the US for years, sitting right in the sweet spot of the luxury compact SUV world. It's smaller and more approachable than the RX, but still delivers the refinement and technology that Lexus buyers expect. For many shoppers, the NX is their very first step into the Lexus lineup, and that makes every update a big deal. Now, in 2026, the NX 350 returns with a refreshed formula. The big news? Lexus has sharpened its design, refined the cabin, and added smarter tech features aimed at making this SUV not just more comfortable, but more competitive against long-standing European rivals. Think BMW X3, Audi Q5, and Mercedes GLC, the very vehicles that have set the standard for years in this crowded segment. Lexus knows it needs more than just a pretty face to win people over, which is why the NX 350 now leans harder into balancing style, value, and a more confident driving experience. But what exactly has changed compared to last year? And do these updates truly address the areas where the NX has typically lagged behind? That's what we're putting to the test today. Over the next few minutes, we'll break down everything from design tweaks and interior upgrades to driving impressions and value-for-money verdicts. By the end, you'll know whether this 2026 NX 350 is just a polished version of the old lineup, or a real game-changer that deserves your serious attention. So, let's start with what you'll notice first: the design. At a glance, the 2026 Lexus NX 350 looks familiar, but stare a little longer, and the differences begin to pop. The signature spindle grille has been tightened up with sharper lines that feel more modern and less polarizing than before. The headlights are sleeker, with a new DRL pattern that makes the front end look leaner and more assertive. Walk around the side and you'll see a slightly more sculpted profile, giving the NX a stronger stance, without sacrificing that compact footprint that makes it easier to live with in congested cities and tight parking garages. Step inside, though, and it really starts to feel like Lexus put in the work where it matters most. The cabin is quieter, thanks to better insulation and improved materials, but what really catches attention is the redesigned center console. The big 9.8-inch touchscreen is still standard, yet Lexus has now made the larger 14-inch screen accessible on more trims, pairing it with updated software that's more responsive and far less frustrating than older Lexus systems. Think crisp graphics, smooth animations, and voice control that actually works without making you repeat yourself a dozen times. It's not perfect, but it no longer feels like the NX is a step behind the Germans when it comes to tech. Practicality hasn't been ignored either. Rear passengers get a bit more legroom compared to the previous generation, and the cargo area has been reshaped to swallow bulkier items with less fuss. Lexus has also sprinkled in some thoughtful touches: USB-C charging all around, wireless smartphone integration, and even new ambient lighting themes that make night drives feel more upscale. Small details, sure, but they add up when buyers are cross-shopping against premium competition. Under the hood, the NX 350 still uses the 2.4-liter turbocharged four-cylinder, producing around 275 horsepower. On paper, that puts it right in line with rivals like the BMW X3 and Audi Q5 45. In practice, the engine feels punchy enough around town, paired to an 8-speed automatic that's smoother than before. Where things get interesting is how Lexus has tuned the suspension. It's softer than the BMW's sportier setup, but that's not a weakness. It makes the NX noticeably more comfortable on rough roads, and it handles highway cruising with an effortless calm that helps reduce fatigue. For some, that balance of comfort over raw athleticism might be the deal-maker. Safety technology has also taken a step forward. The 2026 NX includes Lexus Safety System Plus 3.0 standard, bundling adaptive cruise, lane centering, and improved collision detection into every model. It's the kind of package that makes highway driving less stressful, and it's notable that Lexus includes these features at no extra cost when rivals still hide them higher up the options list. Now, of course, it's not flawless. The steering still feels a bit numb compared to the BMW X3, and while the infotainment is improved, there are occasional laggy moments that remind you Lexus is still catching up in software polish. And while the cabin is luxurious, some lower trim plastics lack the rock-solid feel you'll find in a Mercedes GLC. But here's the twist. Once pricing comes into play, those minor drawbacks may suddenly look very forgivable. Because what Lexus asks for the NX 350 might change how you see the entire value equation. And we'll get to that very soon. And this is where things get interesting. Because once you get the 2026 Lexus NX 350 out of the showroom and onto real roads, the personality shift becomes clear. Around the city, the turbocharged engine feels lively, pulling away from stoplights with more confidence than you'd expect from a luxury compact SUV. It's not neck-snapping fast, but it's smoother and quicker than last year's version, and it makes daily driving feel just a little more effortless. But the real surprise comes when you push it harder. On a winding back road, the NX doesn't turn into a BMW. But here's the twist, it doesn't need to. Instead of chasing razor-sharp steering, Lexus has doubled down on composure, delivering a ride that stays calm even when the pavement doesn't. You glide through corners without drama. The suspension soaks up bumps you thought would unsettle it, and there's this sense of predictability that makes the NX easy to trust. In a segment where complexity often masquerades as sophistication, Lexus went for something more humble, smoothness and ease, and it works. Inside, the driving experience is backed by a much quieter cabin. Road noise is hushed, the steering wheel feels solid in your hands, and those improved driver assist features kick in seamlessly on the highway. Long trips suddenly feel less like a chore and more like a retreat, which is a distinctive strength compared to the more demanding character of a BMW X3 or Audi Q5. Of course, not everything lands perfectly. The steering still can't match the engagement of its European rivals, and if you're expecting heart-racing acceleration, you'll walk away a little underwhelmed. But here's the plot twist the NX pulls off. It makes luxury feel effortless. It delivers the kind of everyday comfort that most buyers actually crave, wrapped in a package that's modern, handsome, and reasonably priced for its class. And when you factor in cost, that's where our perspective starts to shift completely. Because the value equation here might just tip the scales in Lexus's favor. So, where does the 2026 Lexus NX 350 land after all is said and done? In many ways, it feels like Lexus has finally found its rhythm in the compact luxury SUV class. The updates may not be earth-shattering, but they are meaningful where it counts. Refined styling, sharper tech, a quieter, more polished ride, and a sense of everyday comfort that turns commuting into something you actually look forward to. The big strengths? Ride quality that outshines most competitors, standard safety tech that rivals still charge extra for, and pricing that keeps this SUV accessible without feeling cheap. The cabin, with its upgraded touchscreen and thoughtful details, now feels like it belongs in 2026, not 2016. For buyers who value calm luxury over sharp handling, the NX 350 hits a sweet spot few others do. Of course, there are drawbacks. If you want the most engaging drive, a BMW X3 still has the edge. If you crave the absolute finest interior detailing, the Mercedes GLC pulls ahead in some trims. And Lexus still has room to smooth out a few software quirks. But when you step back and look at the full package, the comfort, the safety, the tech, and the value, the NX 350 suddenly looks like one of the most well-rounded picks in this segment. For US buyers who want a luxury SUV that's smart, comfortable, and stress-free, this is the one you'll want near the top of your list. And more importantly, the NX shows that Lexus is increasingly willing to adapt and push harder against the European benchmarks. That could spell an even more exciting battle in the years ahead. So here's the big question. Does the 2026 Lexus NX 350 earn a place in your driveway? Or are you sticking with the established German players? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown. And make sure to subscribe for more honest reviews that keep you ahead of the curve.